The next speaker is someone who's a bit closer to home, really. This is really interesting. So Sadia is my wife. She's a graphic designer, and she's been working alongside me for more than like 15 years or so. And I've been a denim designer for 20 years. So the early part of my career, Sadia came on, and it's been quite awesome. We've been working in really interesting ways, telling storytelling, and Sadia is actually involved with the Transformers Foundation. So any graphics that you've seen, most likely sometimes have been created by her, including the actual website. But now Sadia has very kindly sent us a video, which I'm going to play now. It's about 10 minutes long, and then she'll be joining us live. So let me see if I can share the screen.
Hi, I'm Sadia, and this is the Art of Storytelling in Denim. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. I come from an academic family. My mum was a university lecturer, and my dad was a doctor educated in Pakistan in the late 60s. I, however, fit into neither of these academic professions. I have always been an artist, a creative thinker, and a doer. I was born and brought up in the UK. I graduated in graphic design at UAL, Central St Martin's in London. My career led me to fashion in the early 2000s, and that's where I grew as a designer. I have always loved doing lots of things and working in different mediums. Some say you should do one thing and do one thing well. But honestly speaking, I can't help myself. I love variety, I love exploring new ideas, and don't enjoy being pigeonholed. I've been lucky in my career that I've had the freedom to work in many different areas, daring to go beyond the boundaries of graphic design and delve into creative direction and film work. Endrime began as a denim brand and consultancy created by Mohsin and myself in 2012. We mainly consult for denim brands and denim mills. Mohsin handles and creates denim collections, and as art director, I handle all visual communication on projects for our clients. We've been fortunate in that our skill sets have always complemented each other. Alongside Endrime, we set up Denim History, a denim educational platform where we create workshops so people can learn more about denim history and how to make a pair of jeans. What is storytelling? Every job at Endrime, large or small, has a graphic design element to it. I work on everything from concept to design execution. I handle editorial photo shoots, manage a team of creatives on big jobs. In addition, I edit films, work on websites. We recently created an online denim tool for designers. I do brand identity, marketing assets, social media. I design graphics and prints for garments, metal trims like rivets and buttons for jeans. I design lookbooks, sales books, infographics, and I collaborate with global brands as an artist. In addition, I do photography and am an illustrator. All of these areas have one mutual purpose, and that's communication. Don't mistake legibility for communication, David Carson. 70 to 93% of communication is non-verbal. What does this tell us? The fonts we choose, the images we use, and the colours we choose for our brands mean something, and that non-verbal communication can make or break a brand. When we select all the components that make up a brand, we choose elements that form a narrative, and that story becomes the basis for everything the brand creates visually going forward. Through storytelling, we can create connections between people, and that's how customers connect with some brands more than others. Storytelling is key in communicating new collections and campaigns, especially since our work and lives had to adapt to going online during a pandemic. Denim mills quickly had to rely on producing online content that made sense without them being there in person to explain it at a trade show. That meant we had to get clear on who we are, what the message is, and how we want to communicate that. Luckily for us, we've been creating and directing videos for denim collections and denim mills since 2005, and we were already versed in creating content online. So our work actually increased through the pandemic as companies quickly realised they needed to share clear and coherent messaging. So how do you tell a good story? Despite the variety of work, my method and way of working haven't changed. I apply the same philosophy to every brief, every job, and every project I work on. I like to hone in on the client to truly understand who they are and find the qualities that I want to explore and highlight through the work I produce for them. I believe working this way creates meaning and longevity through authenticity. Great, so how do we begin? We begin at the core. Use your intuition. I ask myself these questions. Question 1. Who is the client? Is it a denim mill, a brand, an individual? Is it a family-owned business that goes back generations, or a brand new business? Or is it female-owned or educational? Is it a young brand? Question 2. What does this bring up? If it's a family-owned business, words like warmth come to mind. If the business has been around for generations, words like stability come to mind. If a business feels traditional, you feel as though they are rooted in what came before. A brand new business may be future thinkers, dreamers, have a modern, clean aesthetic. A female-owned business will drive self-empowerment, be supportive, feel accessible to female designers amongst a male-dominated industry. They may be dynamic and forward-thinking. A platform based around denim education is a learning space designed to nurture imagination and provide information. Number 3. What's the story and what are we focusing on? Is it a seasonal project that's about a new product or new campaign? If so, we can look at trends for inspiration. Is it a long-term project that needs longevity? If so, we can design something that's more classic in tone. Does the client support local communities? If so, can you go there yourself and see the work firsthand? Number 4. Where will the work be seen? Online, at a trade show, social media campaign, posted out to clients and brands. All of this research into the client will give you visual cues to create a foundation that you can build a story on from the ground up. A few rules. Fonts have their personalities. Choose wisely. Don't use too many all at once. A good logo should be able to work in one colour. Your design work should be easy to understand without explanation. And remember, rules are there to be broken, but you have to understand the rules before you can break them. Above all, keep it simple, keep it consistent, and trust your intuition. Do what you feel is right. When you think of a denim brand, what do you think is the most important element in telling a visual story? Is it the images, the copy, the concept, the logo? Is it the choice of fonts they made? Let's take a look at Levi's, for example. This ad campaign was probably storyboarded months in advance. They hired models, a photographer, a stylist, and probably a pretty large team to make the shoot happen. But if we took away the copy, remove the taglines, and what if we remove the models, and even remove the word Levi's from the logo? What you have left is still a recognisable brand. That's the power of good branding and storytelling. And design agency Turner Duckworth felt the same way. Look how powerful this image looks, and the consistency in the branding across all mediums. It's a powerful statement. So what's your story? Perhaps you're a student and you're thinking about how you can present yourself and your work when you apply for jobs after you graduate from university. I'll leave you with this short exercise. Create a new folder on your desktop, or if you prefer, create a new Pinterest board, or my favourite, create a pin board at home dedicated to this exercise. Research and collect. 3 logos you love. You may find hundreds, but narrow it down to your top 3. Find 3 companies that in your wildest dreams you would have created yourself or simply admire. Then find 3 things that inspire you. This can be anything outside of fashion and denim. It can be something you read, something you listened to, a piece of art, your favourite pair of jeans. It can be anything. Find your favourite colours and pin them to your board. Why are you creating your story? What does it mean to you? What does your story represent for you? What do you want your story to say about you? What qualities are they? Once you've collected all of this imagery, just take a moment and look at it all together, and you'll begin to see connections and visual cues that you can use as direction to create a logo, choose your fonts, your colours and imagery, and begin your visual story that represents an authentic you. I hope that helped, and thank you to Transformers Ed for inviting me to this edition. Thank you for having me.
How awesome was that? Now, it's quite funny because what it is, Sadia is always involved in the background of all the work that we do, all the work that I do. And most of the time, she doesn't really get credited. And I always say in every presentation, it's Sadia's work, it's Sadia's work. And it's true. So, you know, it's amazing seeing all those videos. But Sadia, you know, storytelling is one of the things that we both quite enjoy. And we love when we have a finished collection, we only have maybe 10 days, 2 weeks to tell that story. And it's very sad, isn't it? That whole process.
It's crazy sometimes. Hi everyone, first of all. Yeah, I mean, you know, when we start a project, Mohsin is always, you know, obviously he's all about the denim. So we kind of build a story together. We instantly, you know, once a brief comes in, we instantly kind of bounce off each other with ideas. And while Mohsin is working away on the denim, you know, design and the concept of it, my mind is like in the background is constantly thinking about how can we connect all these dots, like what are these dots that we can connect to create these stories, these great stories. So yeah, that's pretty much how it begins. And then, you know, it can happen pretty quick. It can come together.
It's always quick
up here, like really fast. And you know, thankfully we have like such an incredible team that we always work with. Photographers, film people, hair and makeup, stylists. It's got an amazing team. So it's literally like calling up to 18 whenever we have like a tight deadline and saying, hey guys, are you ready on this date? And we go.
But it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting for you because obviously when I first met you, you know, 18, 19 years ago, I remember you showing me videos you had created at university. So you're a filmmaker as well as you're a graphic designer by trade, but now you do everything from web development to illustration to doing CADs for graphics to doing button graphics to writing copy to it's you know, an art director's role. That's what you are. You're an art director now, and some people don't believe that you can do it all. But obviously, that's how we're trained. We don't know any different.
Yeah, and I think the training that I had at Central St Martin's, you cover so many different areas. You cover illustration, you cover sculpture, you cover advertising, you cover typography for a few weeks, you do life drawing, you do filmmaking, and you're supposed to kind of narrow these options down and specialize by the end, you know, in the final year. But I've just always loved doing lots of different, lots of working in lots of different ways, because it was kind of like brain exercise for me, and it's just creative, and I just sometimes the idea comes really quick for me, and sometimes it's a case of filling in the blank of how I can get there.
Quick thing, obviously, you know, I remember for many years you and I have been creating collections and just doing everything from the branding to the making the collection to the photographic elements to the video. And one of our close friends told us a few years ago that, Mohsin, what you and Sadia do is marketing. And we both laughed. It was like, really? We're just telling a story. We're just finishing off the collection. Because one thing is we also design collections, and then another team comes and does the photography or takes photographs for the website. And we're always disappointed by it, going, oh man.
It's not because it's bad, but it's just because Mohsin and I, we're there from the start. And as I said, like, you know, one of the things I mentioned in the video is that I begin at the core of every project. So that's why every project to me is unique. So whatever we produce, it always feels different to the last project. It always feels new to us anyway. And the final product, you know.
So let's just see what questions we've got here, because there have been a few big pings on my phone as well. Thanks for that, Sadia. Sadia does all the work. Great presentation. Yeah, thanks, Sally. Sadia, when it comes to when it comes to denim and jean production development, do you think storytellers, graphic designs should be involved earlier compared to when their product is nearly finished?
Absolutely. I think I've had amazing jobs where I've worked with designers. In fact, a really early collection that I worked on with Amy Leverton, really early on in our careers, at early 2000s, and we were given a brief and we basically worked together. She was designing the denim and I was doing the graphics, but because we both formalized the direction for the season, for that actual collection, so the elements that I drew up actually fit into certain sections of the garment. So it was designed into the garment, and Amy might have adjusted something, or I would have looked at what she's cutting or what she's designed, and I think, oh, you know, that kind of shape graphic would look amazing right there. So I think bringing in graphic designers and art directors really early on is really interesting. You know, it makes a really strong story, I feel.
I find also as a designer, when we design any collection, we have to design trims and branding. And these are the things that are left nearly at the end. But actually, this is the thing that we should start on first, like metalware and hardware. Metal takes sometimes a month to 2 months to make, sometimes to get the mold. So bringing a graphic designer in at the early stages of a collection is super important. We've got a question from like Rowan as well. Is there one thing that you love more than others in your role?
Oh, I really love film work. I would love to explore that a bit further. I also, you know, aside from doing graphic design, which I really love, I love illustration as well. Just because I find it relaxing and it's not a job to me. So it kind of separates my day to day. If I can sit down and just draw for an hour, 5 minutes even, it really makes a difference.
So for any young designers that are listening in, you came from an art and design background, and you specialized in graphics because you really liked layout and fonts, and you know, you're so particular about, if you see one of Sadia's documents, whenever she does any document, she puts so many grids all over it and follows it like the Bible, you know.
I can't watch Mohsin work.
Yeah.
Basically,
so I
can't do it.
Polar opposites, really. But no, even when we're editing video as well, if I edit a video and Sadia edits a video, she'll edit it in a very completely different way. Even if someone's talking, she'll maybe even mix around what they're saying. So the narrative, even she writes notes when she edits videos. It's very, very different. But anyway, it's very interesting what you do. And obviously, I've been working alongside you for many years, and it's immensely fun. But I'm sure for the guys who are watching here, it's nice to see someone who is from an art director background who works in denim. So that's pretty. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for that presentation. I don't know if there's any more questions. Oh, like Richard's saying something as well. Awesome presentation. Loving your work you both do, as well as marketing collaboration. Could you share tips on how you communicate with other various teams in order to keep everyone on the same page? So you're quite good at doing that. You did a photo shoot once with 20 different people that you organized.
Yeah. So basically, the way that it was really interesting, because one of the first Endrime shoots we did, we basically hired someone to take care of it, and you know, hire the models, work out where we're going to do it. I just really wasn't involved in it. And then, you know, we show up, and I wasn't happy with, you know, when someone was waiting around, or you know, when time was going by, and you know, I just basically just took the reins the next time, and it's just organization. It just came down to organization, and I pulled off a photo shoot with 20 people in one day, super relaxed, no hiccups, finished early, and finished by 6 p.m. It was amazing.
Even all these Transformers eds,
communication. That's
even all these Transformers eds, squares and graphics, you know, there's a lot of planning involved with you and like Joanne and the rest of the team, and it's quite complicated, but you guys do it quite well now. You've gotten to a good little sort of rhythm. Anyway, thank you for your time. It was an awesome. I'm sure we're all going to really enjoy it, and what a lovely presentation. And you know, it's quite nice to see stuff like that. So thank you again. So we're going to move on now. So thanks, Sad. So anyone who's got any more questions, Sadia will jump onto a computer and answer those questions as well. And
guys, enjoy the rest of the ed.